Hi guys, so this is my staff for Elementalist Lux, the water version, and in this video I'm going to show you guys how I made it. So the first thing you want to do is make your template for your staff. This is one that I've literally just printed off from the character model for Lux, and basically take some time trying to scale it up. I spent a lot of time messing about with this on Word and trying to get it the right size just so it's in scale with me. Spend a lot of time doing this because you want it to be relative to your size at the end of it, and you can't really go back from here once you've got this. The next thing you want to do is buy the main support you're going to be working with. So here is just a wooden dowel that I've bought from B&Q. You can get it from any hardware stores. I basically used the saw to cut it down because it was a bit too long. So I've cut it to the right size. You can use anything for this really. I like wooden dowels because it's quite lightweight and it's not hollow, but I know some people prefer using PVC pipes. To try and make this kind of diamond shape that's on the end of this staff, what I did was I got some cardboard just from cereal boxes and I taped it onto the end here. And then what you can do there is cut out the shapes out of this, is just EVA foam, to try and kind of build the structure. So this is the outside bit here, and then this bit here will be the part that goes on top here. So basically just have a play around with it and try and get the right shapes that you like, and I'll show you how it looks like in a second. So this is what the end of my staff looks like at the moment. It's the same on both sides. And what I've done here is, as I showed you a second ago, I've got the cardboard in the middle, which is the main structure. I've got two layers of EVA foam, which is thicker foam. And then what I did was, to just cover up this wooden stick, was I added a really thin layer of craft foam on top. So now this is ready to add all these details here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to add these details in more EVA foam, like this here. Right, so I added another layer of EVA foam. I did this because I thought it would look a bit nicer with the detailing. And I used contact cement to basically stick all of these EVA foam bits together. And once you get it, you kind of get this horrible like edge, and I wanted something smooth, so what I did was I used just an ordinary Dremel here to basically smooth down the sides, as you can see here. So it's a bit more curved, it's a bit smooth, it's really rough still, but I'll fix that in a second. I'll show you how. Right, so this is what the finished end looks like. I'm going to cover this completely in worbla, but before I do that I'll just show you exactly what I've done. So these little parts here are just bits of EVA foam that I basically just used the Dremel to kind of sand it down to kind of get it into shape. It's a bit messy, but the worbla will sort that out. And those cracks earlier that I was mentioning, I filled it here with primer. So the primer that I use is just a polyfiller spray, and basically you can just spray it into the cracks and it fills all of it for you. You can also use other types of polyfiller. You can get ones that you basically have to put in yourself and smooth onto it, but I prefer the spray because it's just really easy. You literally just spray it on and it fills all of the gaps for you. This is what my staff looks like at the moment, and I'm really pleased with it actually. It looks pretty nice. Like the ends are quite neat due to the polyfiller spray that I used. But what I'm going to do now is cover it in worbla. And actually I'm going to cover this middle part here in worbla because it's just a tiny bit too thin for my liking. So I've cut out this bit of black worbla here. And I know that's the right size because I measured around this central section. So I'm going to warm this up, heat this up with my hot glue gun I've got here. And then I'm just going to wrap it around this central portion. The next thing I'm going to do is basically make this raised up portion here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to heat up this small piece of worbla and just wrap it around the stick here. So I'm just heating up the warbler so it's soft enough to work with, and then wrapping it around the stick, just making sure the ends join together neatly. Now that I've got this end bit on here, I'm going to cover this bit in warbler too. So I've cut out sections of warbler, which I'm going to heat up, and then put one on either side. Just heating up the warbler again. Make sure when you do this you use like a heat-proof mat or a cutting board or something. You don't want to ruin your table. And then I'm just putting it onto the staff and then using my fingers to kind of press the warbler into the shape. You can use kind of knives or anything or any tools to kind of help you doing this as well. So once you push the warbler into the detailings on here, you kind of get this weird sandwich thing overlapping. And I normally leave this to dry to cool down a bit. And what I do is I reheat these edges here, and then what you can do is literally just squish them together. So I'm heating up the warbler again, and then just using my fingers to kind of squish together the two ends so it kind of makes a warbler sandwich, and then you can cut this excess off. So this is my complete staff. I'm really happy with how it looks actually. So these detailing here, this is just going to be leather that I'm going to add on to at the end. It's just an extra decoration. There's a few little bumps and stuff where I basically stabbed into the warbler too much, but that's not really to worry because I'm going to use my polyfiller to go over everything, and this will basically fill in any of the little gaps that are remaining. So what I've done is I've sprayed some polyfiller onto this. This has filled in any of the kind of big gaps that you can see, but it's still kind of a bit rough. You can see, for example, the texture in the warbler. There's still some kind of like holes and bits and bumps. So to smooth this out completely before I start painting, what I do is I have some wood glue here. This is just any old wood glue you can get anywhere, wood adhesive, you can use any kind. And what I've done is I've just added a tiny drop of water on it just to make it a bit more liquidy. And then with that, I just go over the whole thing in a layer of wood glue. It doesn't have to be the neatest thing, because the wood glue will kind of get into all of the gaps and just smooth it out. And I'm going to do about 5 layers of this, let it dry, do a thin layer, then do another one on top. Cool, so this is what my staff looks like at the moment, and I've primed it with wood glue so it's all smooth. And the next thing I'm going to do is just take my spray paint, shake it, and then spray it all over.
There you go.
Right, so I've got my little staff thing spray painted. Sorry about all the mess. But what I want to do now is kind of paint this bit, because in the picture it's a bit of a darker kind of brownish gold kind of colour. And also I want to paint in all of these details because at the moment there's not really any kind of definition on the end of the staff. So I've got this antique gold acrylic, and I'm going to put some of that in here and mix it with a tiny little bit of just any old plain black acrylic. I tried to do it here but it was a bit too dark, so I've made up a new mixture here. So just going to mix this all together. Just remember with acrylic paints they always dry darker than what they seem, so always try and make it a shade lighter than you want. So I think that's about the right shade. That will dry darker as well. So what I'm going to do is literally just paint it directly onto it. Oh, sorry, I should be showing you. This is going to need a couple of layers. Acrylic paints are quite thin, so they always do. Cool. I'm not going to bother painting the middle because I'm going to be putting a leather strap in the middle. Cool, there you go. Just let it dry a bit. And then as for the details, I'm just going to get a smaller brush. And use the exact same colour to kind of just dab into the centre here. And also around the edges. Cool, and then wait till it dries. Right, so I've painted all of this bit in this kind of like greenish, brownish, dollish colour. And now what I want to do is put the details on the middle. And what I've done here is I've literally just got some fake leather, brown leather, and I'm just going to wrap it round and stick it down with contact cement. Right, so to make this portion of the staff here, what I did was I cut this shape out of cardboard. This is just cereal box cardboard. So I cut 2 each for each side. And then I wanted to kind of get this raised edge that you can see here. And what I did here was I drew on this line where I wanted the raise to be. And then I cut out strips of cardboard like this. And with this strip of cardboard, I basically traced this edge around here like this and curved it around so and then sticking it down so the cardboard kind of forms this curved shape here. I also got other pieces of cardboard which are the same thickness and use that to trace the curve on the centre here. So you've kind of got this crevice here, and now to get this 3D shape that I have here, I'm going to spray the inside of this and this part in with expandable foam. And then once I've got the expandable foam, I can carve it around basically with a knife. Right, so this is going to be the end of the staff, and I've got it all carved out. So this was the expandable foam that I sprayed in the middle of it, but it's very porous and there's loads of holes, so if I paint on top of this it's not going to look very nice. So the way to get round this is to cover it, to seal it. You can use worbla if you wanted, but I think worbla is going to be too heavy and it's quite expensive. So what I'm going to do is literally just cover it in paper mache. So get strips of newspaper, cover it in PVA glue. It's just any old PVA glue that I got from a craft store, and I mixed it 1 part PVA, 1 part water, and then all you do is literally just cover the whole thing in PVA glue like this. I've paper mache'd the whole thing, and I've let it to dry, but between the newspaper there's kind of like lots of lines, and if you spray paint over the newspaper you kind of get this horrible like liney effect. So to get rid of this, all I'm going to do is going to prime the whole thing with wood glue. So taking my paintbrush and then just going over the whole thing in wood glue. So I've made basically the end bits of the staff, which you can see here, this bit. But as you can see, it's kind of floating, it's not really attached to the staff. So what you can do here is what I've done, this is the staff, you can see, and what I have done is cut into the staff end, as you can see there, and then slotted in a sheet of Perspex acrylic sheet in 2mm. So this is great because it means that it acts as like an invisible kind of base to hold everything together. You can use wire as well, but I think it's a bit messy, and this is quite simple because you can literally just stick on these ends and it's done. Okay, so this is what it looks like now. I forgot to show you guys the in-between bit, but basically what we've done is stick on these little bits, so 2 on each side, as you can see. And what happened was, because we've got this kind of acrylic piece here, when you stick them together there's going to be like a slit in the middle between these 2 pieces. So I haven't shown you here, but same as what I did earlier basically. I filled this bit with polyfiller, and then what you can do is cover the whole thing in wood glue and then go over it with spray paint, and then it creates this kind of nice finish. This is what my staff looks like at the moment, and the last thing you want to do basically is put the lights in. So I'll show you what lights that I use. These lights are literally just really cheap lights that I bought off eBay. You twist them to turn them on. 2 seconds. There you go. So I've twisted them to turn them on. And literally all I do here is pop it into this acrylic ball. So I showed you earlier that this bit is mounted onto kind of like an acrylic 2mm thick acrylic sheet, and what I did also was cut a hole into the centre of this, and then glue half of an acrylic ball, which is literally just Christmas balls that I've used. So you glue in half of it, and then the other half literally just kind of slots into it. So what I do is, I've got my light and I've got some of this really nice kind of like light shiny sheer material, which coincidentally this is the same material I've used for the trail of my cosplay. So this is my Elementalist Lux cosplay. So I grab the light, put it into this material, wrap it all up together, shove it into the acrylic ball. This is quite hard one-handed. And then put the top half of the acrylic ball on top. Cool, and there we have it. That's what the end of it looks like. I think it looks really cool, and it looks really watery because of this kind of fabric that's in the middle. It just looks really, really nice. One last thing as well, which I haven't actually done on this, but I have done here, you can see, is that I've kind of just added bits of like black acrylic to this, which I've literally just dabbed on kind of with my finger and all around the insides here. I think it just makes it look a bit more kind of used and rusty, and makes it look a bit more metalish. So I've done it here as well. I've added some acrylic there, black acrylic paint, and then on here as well. So yeah, that's it. That's my finished Lux staff. If you've got any questions, let me know and I'll try and answer it the best I can. Thank you for watching.